Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Hashim Kumar. Tensions are rising once again on NATO's eastern frontier. At the Belarus-Lithuania border, more than 1,000 Lithuanian trucks remain stranded after Vilnius shut down two crossings, accusing Minsk of launching weather balloons and drones in what it calls hybrid provocations. In response, Alexander Lukashenko has threatened to seize the vehicles, turning a trade dispute into a geopolitical test. With Latvia, Estonia and Poland rallying behind Lithuania, the crisis is fast becoming a measure of NATO's unity and resilience under pressure. To explore the implications of this situation, we are joined by Alan Flowers, Chairman, Anglo-Belarusian Society. Alan, welcome back to TVP World. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Yes, thank you. And by the way, I should point out, yes, I am chair of Anglo-Belarusian Society, but today I'm speaking entirely on my own capacity.
OK, well, thanks for clarifying that. Now, as you see it, Alan, how would you characterise the situation at the border between Lithuania and Belarus as it stands?
Well, the Lithuanians, of course, have considerable right to have concerns about this new form of hybrid, both somewhat aggressive warfare, as well as the issue of how contraband is passing and crossing borders. So it's an entirely reasonable preventative measure. Of course, when it comes to balloons, that works only as long as the wind passes from south in Belarus to the north towards Lithuania. So if we do get a change in wind direction or sudden cessation of these balloon traffic, might be more to do with the weather than to do with any stand down from Mr. Lukashenko. The whole question of drones this is a very contemporary issue also of hybrid warfare. And as we've seen, Poland has very rightly and supportively come in to ensure that such games on the borders can't be paid without a price. So Lithuania, to me, has acted very promptly and appropriately, and Poland has come in and showing strong support, dealing with the entire western and northern borders of Belarus that provide the main transit of goods into Europe.
Indeed. Now, how much of Lukashenko's actions are dictated by Moscow?
Well, as I've often said, Mr. Lukashenko is very good at managing, according to the instructions, the lands of Belarus, and his dependency financially and in terms of gas, particularly as winter comes on. The concern that you don't upset Moscow as you approach the cold winter months with the risk of a gas supply being turned off. Mr. Lukashenko is very much behest to Moscow. The question is, what would Moscow gain by such disturbances? Because there is a very complex balance to be played here between the benefit of a Belarus that has borders that can enable trade, traffic, commercial traffic to pass into Europe, particularly benefits for the Chinese, who saw this as the terminal point of their trade route for goods into Europe. So the question about Mr. Putin's control, yes, that is there. The issue as to how he is using that powerful position and the extent to which this is a Putin game or a Lukashenko game, that to me is unclear.
Yeah, now the interesting thing is that from time to time Lukashenko does reach out. He does make overtures, does he not, to the West. he seems to be looking for greater, if you like, acknowledgement by Western powers, perhaps suggesting a shift in that direction. Surely he's shooting himself in the foot, isn't he, by threatening to seize these 1,000 Lithuanian trucks?
Well, he's playing really now a rather complex tripartite game here. That is the American dimension in this. So certainly he has reached out and had some success, considerable success. We've got John Cole appointed as essentially a representative, a special presidential representative acting with Belarus. We've seen the golden handshake with Cole as well a few weeks back. And he's played games with really very modest political prisoner releases. But yes, he is seeking to make overtures because there are sanctions that are biting, and the relaxation and the fact that America has showed willingness to relax some of the sanctions against Mr. Lukashenko is something he's seeking. But the European dimension is the third part there, and really very different, and showing a much stiffer resolve in looking for a lot more from Mr. Lukashenko than the rather modest political prisoner releases, which we must remember. We get lots of news about nice Mr. Lukashenko benignly releasing a few tens of political prisoners. We never get much the news, but within a few weeks he's rearrested or arrested similar numbers back in. Numbers of political prisoners in Belarus have been fairly steady. So that is a game Mr. Lukashenko is playing is I think rather a busted flush. At least I hope the Americans see it as that. But he's always played this east vector, west vector. The Department of International Relations, when I was going to Belarus, the students all learned about the fact you play east off against west or west off against east. We've had 30 years of Mr. Lukashenko doing that, so this is no surprise. The West was well and truly duped in the period 2018-2019 in the run-up to the 2020 elections, bonds being sold on the London stock market and everything. Benign Mr. Lukashenko letting a few NGOs get registered, that democratic processes, of course, they've all been closed down now. So I hope it's once bitten, twice bitten, but the third time. Europe certainly is very, very shy about Mr. Lukashenko's east-west flip-flop. And yes, we're seeing him trying to play that old game again, but I'm glad to say with the resolve of Lithuania and certainly the resolve of Poland, it's not working so well this time.
Right. Well, as you say, countries in the region, so the Baltic states and Poland, are kind of lining up with Lithuania on this. What would they like to see? Would they like to see an end to the drones and the balloons? Would they like to see a return of the trucks? And what are they prepared to give, or should they give, in return to Lukashenko for this?
Well, it's more than about return of trucks. It was about appropriately supported, because there's a lot of issues when you're talking about release of political prisoners. I mean, we've got to not lose track of the overall objectives with Belarus, but having allowed Belarus to get into Mr. Putin's pocket back in 2020, the complexity about how you prize Mr. Lukashenko away from Russia has become all the more complex. So it is about a lot more than the trucks. So I think there's something like numbering reaching almost about 1,000 or so, and no doubt there will be some interim measure to enable these to then pass over. But of course, there is a lot of question about what the contents are, whose trucks these are. But let's not lose sight of the wider demands that Europe has on Mr. Lukashenko, which puts him in a considerable squeeze, because it's completely incompatible to be serving Mr. Putin at the same time as moving towards a freer and fairer democratic Belarus, and Mr. Lukashenko perhaps showing the weakness that would be seen if he released political prisoners. So as an endgame, a lot of this is to do with cleaning up the traffic that is going between Belarus and Europe. Still far too much state-sponsored smuggling and contraband. So we know that the short term is about ceasing the drones, ceasing cross-border activity, and showing that that's something that's there to stay. But there's been a long-term contraband smuggling issue between Belarus and Poland and Belarus and Lithuania, and the latest all too overt approach has clearly rightly proved too much for Lithuania and Poland in support.
Right. I mean, with holding these trucks to ransom as he's currently doing, clearly, even when the border opens, truckers are going to be somewhat wary of going into Belarus, which is going to further squeeze Lukashenko's situation. You said that it's already a little bit hairy there. He's feeling the pinch. He's just making it worse for himself, isn't he?
Well, I couldn't agree more, actually, and that's why these operations and testing the waters and a much smoother approach to clean, agreed trade, non-sanctioned trade is clearly the way forward that one is trying to get behaviour change with. At the end of the day, these actions, they are all about seeing observable, visible behaviour change of the government, the people, all very much controlled by Mr. Lukashenko under at least, if not direct instruction, at least tacit approval of Mr. Putin. Lukashenko is an astute old warhorse. 31 years now we've crossed in power in Belarus. The most experienced European dictator in handling his East-West issues, and knows exactly to ensure that he keeps behest to Mr. Putin, as we know, his paymaster general. And if you had all these Russian troops in Belarus, I think you'd be behaving yourself as well.
Yes, understood. Well, he may be an old warhorse, but we know who the jockey is, don't we, Alan? It's that chap in the Kremlin. Alan, thank you very much, as always, for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good evening, sir.
Good evening, and thank you. Greetings from Edinburgh.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, though. News coming right up. Goodbye.